Cheers, mix, click, and code with us. Welcome to Boozy Browsing, where technical wizards and design dabblers come together to sip, critique, and fix the web one cocktail at a time.
All right, it's the time again. I get weirdly excited, of course.
Well, it's drinking time.
Yeah. Well, I'll introduce my drink first. Finally found the Florida beer. I was so excited.
What was your process to find a Florida beer, by the way?
What?
What was the process you did?
Actually, this was a lot simpler. I
Should have
Googled
been
it.
pretty easy.
I Googled it and pasted it on delivery instead of me going to the store and finding it.
Or you didn't even go to a store?
No, I ordered it online and got it delivered. Because like otherwise I won't know. This is like even this I wouldn't have find it because the fonts are really small. Also, unfortunately, I ordered a different one. This is an IPA, but I forgot what I ordered. I ordered a different one, but they didn't have it. But they had the similar from the same company, but IPA. So it's very Florida-ish. It's a Florida Avenue Brewing Company hazy IPA. Loomy, you know, the sun and color and all this flamingos too. Yeah, so that's my beer today.
I'm going with breaking some rules because first, I did not get a Colorado beer. And second, it's a non-alcoholic, which is fine. I actually enjoy some non-alcoholics now.
Really?
So, Black Butte, the shoots.
Did you like non-alcoholic?
I enjoy some of them. The darker ones are okay. So, story around this is my wife and I went camping in Rocky Mountain, and I have to drive a lot. So, I tend to bring non-alcoholic in addition to, because it's not like just sitting by the campfire. I'm having to drive early mornings and late at night to go find animals for her because she's a photographer. So I do the driving and carrying equipment and enjoying nature. But yeah, so I can't like drink a 6-pack by the campfire and then go drive in the morning or even at night. So I had some extras. So that's why I have this one.
That makes sense.
And I was too lazy today, as normal, as Meeky would know, to go out in the middle of the day and go buy some beer. Too lazy or too busy? I could say too busy. Both were true.
You can do what I did. Order it.
Didn't think of that, actually. Say that this tastes a lot better by a campfire than it is right now.
I only tried a couple of non-alcoholic beer and a wine.
I like stouts and porters normally, and I like the stout and porter non-alcoholic beers. They do taste pretty good. This is not that.
See, I don't know, because I tried Guinness non-alcoholic and I didn't like it.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't like it. Maybe it was, I only tried it once, so like maybe.
You have to not expect a Guinness, I think, or not have a high, like, it definitely is not a Guinness, like the same taste, but it is pretty good for a non-alcoholic beer, I think.
And non-alcoholic wines, I tried.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like I was
How
just.
do they get that to work without being just sugary?
See, that's the thing. I felt like I was drinking a very expensive grape juice.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like,
I mean, isn't that? I guess that would be, or just grape juice that sat out for a little while and fermented.
yeah. I mean, I didn't like it at all. I did like the non-alcoholic champagne though. That was the only one I liked.
It's more carbonation than flavor, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, it's like also it was very light. Maybe that's.
So today, I don't know what topic we're going to talk about, but I think I knew we were talking about like, we talked about a project that was going on, and it was kind of had some complexities around a bunch of stuff inside it. It was a WordPress site, which it was, but it had a bunch of other application stuff inside it. Typical PHP kind of add a bunch of custom code to the point where almost fixed everything. And they're like, what's mail.php file?
Yeah.
I wonder what that does. So I was throwing out the idea of like, well, if you throw in the idea of decoupling, in the sense like decoupling all the features that are non-CMS based onto SaaS platform. That way you could actually have a managed host.
Right.
And going through kind of that discussion of like why that's important, because I feel like newer sites are okay, but I feel like I've onboarded a lot of kind of sites in the past that were built off with multiple developers, and a lot of developers like to do the stuff on the side, just code some PHP and put a mail.php file inside of it, and it runs on certain hosts.
Right.
Actually, most hosts, unfortunately, but and then someone takes it on and they find it. It's like, whoa, there's passwords, there's like all kinds of stuff in here, connections to other things, and why is it in CMS? So
yeah, and it's usually not in the regular CMS places where you need to put it. It's like outside of all these directories, and it's just kind of like a one-off. And you can technically access it because it's it's just a stack, so you can expose it, but it's not the right way to do it. But that's probably how it was done back in the day. It usually happens with the older site too, when we're migrating the older site to make sure that they're updated correctly. That's when we encounter it more often than.
I mean, in the WordPress like aspect of this, I've seen it hidden in WordPress. People will create a page dash, that's the standard way of creating a custom page, right? Like, so page is a post type, custom post type, and well, not really custom. You can override that using the syntax page dash name of the slug. Well, I've seen that done, and then all kinds of PHP code inside of there that, again, connects to databases, connects to third-party databases, has passwords in it. It's like you find that stuff, and it's like, well, this looked like a real WordPress site. It's scanned, like, because those are just standard files that are inside of the theme. And then you start looking deeper into what those files are doing. It's like, why did anyone think to do this? When? Like, because it's not old sometimes too. It's like 5 years old, 7 years old. That's not the way to do things ever. But yeah, so we were going to talk about more specifically like around like how you can pull those types of things off, like out of WordPress, right? I mean, there's plenty of third-party SaaS type things that handle all kinds of functionality. We were looking at mail, right? Like sending mail. It's like,
so that was one example, and it's also much more secure to do that, because otherwise you have to manually handle and making sure that things are written correctly and acting correctly, and you have no way to figure out if something failed. It's silently failing. Yeah.
And logging. If other people are,
the server, whoever's managing the server can throttle, like, they can just disable it and throttle it, and then you're screwed. So and also when you're migrating to a different server, there's a whole latency when it's getting updated, because different providers, like especially these days, Google Mail or anywhere, any mails, like it's very security cautious. So like if the IP changes, they just kind of pretty much quarantine it by themselves, and it doesn't even let you know. It doesn't even show up in the spam folder.
Right.
While that was getting updated, or if the email provider just recognize that it's not a spam, then they'll lift it. So like you never know when it's gonna get lifted either. So it's layers of complexity and unknown, just kind of like hiding a lot of things. So there's no real reason to stick with having everything in there.
Right. Well, the opposite, I would say, or not the opposite, but the counter to that within the WordPress space is like, and this should be pulled out as well, search. Like core search is just a SQL query. Like it's a and it's looking at strings and not doing any kind of weighting. There's lots of tools out there that can completely, like, if you want decent search, you go and you get it for free outside of core WordPress. Now you can use Solar and other things depending on your managed host. That's at least a step above, for sure.
Yeah. But I think that's one thing though, like, I mean, it depends on the client, or it depends on your case, is that if you're not really big on a lot of content, or search isn't really that complex, then you can go with just regular search in WordPress, because it's like, it's just going to do content and title search. It's not really going to go for all these custom fields, if you have any, or tags or anything like that. But if you have a lot of content and you need some smart search, then you probably want to defer to Elasticsearch or like Solar or whatever, or like Agolia, whatever that third party can handle.
Yeah. Yep.
I've seen both cases, because like some sites, like they don't care too much about search. They just want the basic search functionality. In that case, you don't have to wait to implement all this different, more complex search, because they don't care about waiting. They just want simple title and content search.
Yeah. Or sites like ours. Do we even have search?
We do.
Oh, we do? Oh, we added it back? Okay.
No, I added for the
We
blog.
didn't have it for a long time, because there's no, I mean, what are you going to search our blog posts? Like,
yeah, so I only put it for blog post.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing that is needed to be searchable. But the reality is, like, if you come to our site, why are you searching for content?
Right.
Because it's going to be old. It's, I mean, we do talk about some evergreen stuff, but most of that's going to be published recently.
Right.
And I get it. We should have search. We should, uphold standards that we tell our publishing kind of clients and B2B clients. Because for them, I mean, they're searching, their users are coming to search for information, like literal, like product data, articles, news content, like that's different than an agency site, I feel like. But it's good to have search. But yeah, so I mean, that was kind of spinning decoupling, because I'm going to be talking about decoupling soon, around actually like a headless approach on top of WordPress and Drupal. To finish up my presentation for next, I don't know when this is going to be published, but it's a week from when we're recording this, around like approaches that I've seen over the years. I've seen definitely different ways of doing it and different architectures that are, in my opinion, kind of the same, except for the level of experience it requires to maintain the different kind of things. I not to give it away, but I think right now with AI being able to build out pretty decent front end on React or Next, or other JavaScript style front ends, the need for, or the pushback on development time is a bit more limited. And the CMS can be doing CMS things, like just managing the content and not delivering me. Kind of a full circle, because when I started doing CMS work, there was a delivery tier and a content management tier. It's just the way they were built. They were similar. They were infrastructurally in the same place, so no latency, but they were technically separate, and they just accessed via their own APIs. So maybe we're getting back to that over the years. I don't think we've ever actually gone away, and I think people just rename things for cool whatever, so they can actually say that they're learning something new. But that's the non-alcoholic brew that I'm drinking, talking apparently.
So actually, I was curious while you were bringing this up. So what are the places that you can decouple and refer to SaaS or other places?
Yeah.
For in our three frameworks, so like in the audience experience, what will be that? And then on the creators experience, what will be that? And then on the developers experience or technology experience, what will be that?
Yeah.
But before that, you can probably explain what these three framework is before we get into it for the people who are not familiar with it.
Sure. I mean, the three framework we've got is 3 E's, right? No, I'm joking. It's everyone gets that wrong. It's experiences. So we've got audience experience, we've got developer experience, and then we have editor or editorial experience. The idea there is you got kind of these 3 legs that support a website, right? And those are the 3 areas you got to maintain a good, strong platform. In this case, audience, like how you decouple things in the audience would be all kinds of things that are like third-party data sources We talked about search. I mean, email is all kinds of things, because email is like internal email to do workflow, external email if you're doing subscriptions or like some type of notifications to the website. I think that's one of the most important things to decouple, among a lot of the things. Like, other things have good products around them, but email is not a system that should be sent from a web server since a long time ago. It's so complicated to get an email to its sender that most people don't even understand. Like the amount of spam filtering that goes on, which is weird because how much spam you still get. Yeah. But there's so much involved in making sure that it gets there, that most web servers are not configured to do that.
Yeah, and it changes depending on when you do it. Because like,
it changes every few years.
Yeah. So like, I thought I got it, and then like every few years we'll get clients that were using the actual managed server as sending the email, and then we're like, well, this whole thing is like, there's new layers of things that we need to consider, and there's new layers of timing, because like, even if you hash everything out, like a lot of times like you actually have to add some DNS records and things like that, and those take forever to propagate, because it's like, I think you mentioned that yesterday when I was asking about this, that like we have it, but we can flush it on our DNS side. The TTL was low anyway, but who knows when it's going to get propagated in the Google side or wherever side that is receiving it, because it's probably on the really low priority on their stack.
If the record didn't exist for 5 years, why would Google be looking at it every 3 minutes or 5 minutes or even hours?
They shouldn't be, because like they have a lot of other tasks that's more high priority that like they shouldn't really care about this. Well, they do, but it's a low priority on their level.
Yes, it's easier to block it until they decide to come and decide if you're not a spammer, basically.
Right.
The reality is most things are not, like, people are not creating these on like most people, and most spammers are not creating servers to do it. They're taking advantage of security vulnerabilities in servers that are then sending emails. So, this is just one topic of many, like why you would want to send mail from a server, because just turn it off, or use a managed host that turns it off. Like, it's so easy to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and then they if you use a SaaS product or like any product that's already that's their thing, so they're more cautious about security and everything. So like, take advantage of it. Why wouldn't you? And so for developer experience, I would think that, it's all probably, I don't know if I'm going to the right directions on this, like using a different way to deploy things and all that stuff should be all from the third party, not from whatever what is a native thing that you have.
Well, from a developer's perspective, like, why would you want to maintain a mail infrastructure if you're doing web development? And all the other things, like they're fine. Like I think a lot of tendencies for most developers are, I can build it real quick, we'll do it. And the reality is it has to scale up to a certain feature set, and you end up needing to switch everything over to a real provider. Anyways, and the cost, sunk cost of all this development and all this time and all this effort and all this lost there's going to be errors and everything, versus you just build it in the first place with an API call, and you have everything you needed for a little bit more upfront cost as far as subscription, but within a couple of months you've paid for it.
All right. Yeah.
So
yeah, that actually goes with I think there's a bunch of things that even recently we're just chatting about, using the LLMs that are already there and then customize it versus creating your own LLMs. I think we were talking about that the other day, and I was like, is there a need for it yet? I was like, not until we really find out that LLMs that we're using is not customizable to a point that what we wanted to do. But I don't think we have run into that yet.
Yeah, or if your data is really proprietary or real, like you need to keep it, then that makes sense. And there's private, so then you got the idea of there's private ways of on-prem, hosting of a chat GPT, LLM. And then that's where open source can come in, where there are open source models that you can then deploy internally or very much walled off into an AWS or Google or something, right?
Yeah.
So that's where that becomes an opportunity to try out versus, I'm, like us for most of our work, it's not really proprietary. Like the work that we do for clients is very proprietary, but the work we do to run Endeavor, it's any agency does very similar things internally. They don't do the client work the way we do it, but they run a business the way any small business runs their business. And our financial data is, yes, semi-private, but like if it gets aggregated into a larger source somehow, yes, we are a certain size company, and most certain size companies have this type of expense. Like that's the way I kind of look at it.
Yeah, I actually had this conversation with the client recently that if we want to make sure that we're efficient, we're not like building everything. So like if it's something that's already there and it's already credible, and then you can buy and then just pay like like $100 a year or like maybe $200 a year to make sure that you have these features that are already built.
Yeah.
We'll recommend that instead of us building it on top of it because there's no point in that.
Yeah. I mean, I used to do consulting around this stuff, around like trying to evaluate it, and it always came down to the initial cost, but also like, is this like your competitive advantage of owning this kind of development? Like with I was on a webinar recently with WooCommerce, and like that, like when you talk about build or buy, obviously you're building more for WooCommerce, but the difference there is if you're an e-commerce site and versus like it's comparing that to going out to Square or some other provider that really owns the technology, and you never get to do anything really different than what all your competitors do. And you're always behind the curve, like slightly, because you wait until they build it, versus using an open source platform that, yes, you can wait for a plugin to be available, or you can pay an agency to build something that you really need for a new kind of way of checking out, way of like engaging with your buyers. So that's a different way of looking at it too, where you want to build if you're wanting to own the actual technology around it. And I even said it on the webinars, like it's ownership because it is open source, right? Like you're building on open source, so you don't own the platform, but you do own your code. You own the code that you're writing for yourself.
Right.
So, did we veer off? I don't even really remember.
No, like we didn't get to. What about editor's experience on the decoupling portion?
Well, I would say one not so obvious. So by doing all these other things, like by removing all these other things from the CMS, you make the editorial experience that much faster because the CMS is doing less.
Right.
And it's going to be less kind of hampered by these other tools running like indexing or doing the email send that takes processing power, especially if you're sending through a newsletter or something weird like that people do. Like all those things take away from their kind of workflow time and definitely can cause outages as well, like CPU spike or memory spikes. So that's an easier one. It's really about speed. The other part would be there's a lot more AI tools out there for the editor experience. You can kind of build some of those things in WordPress and PHP. You can definitely build integrations, and that's like, so decoupling those things are, you build the integration, you throw in the plugin. Shout out to Content Seer, our plugin, which is, it's very lightweight as far as WordPress cares, and it's just firing out to an external service to do all the processing. It doesn't do much processing at all inside of WordPress. So there's no real effect on the editor experience. And those are the types of things I would look for to either remove or make sure that they're the ones that have to stay. Don't do a whole lot.
This is it kind of touches editorial experience, but also the audience experience too. Is that I remember like we audited a site a while ago. It's like a auction site that you're doing the auction, but I remember it was built based on WordPress, but it was super customized, and then they're just trying to add everything custom. And I remember at that point they were using the comment feature as the auction way, like the way to auction. And I remember telling them like, this isn't built for that. You need to have something that's not PHP based to do this. Like you're doing the real-time auction. And comment, it's brilliant to kind of do it as a patchwork at the time, but it's not going to scale. If the site goes crazy, and then that's why they were having issues, because like it's not going to scale. You need to build something with a different language. Like I mean, like I don't remember what we recommended at the time, but it's not the functionality. Like you will run into a limit really quickly. But that's one of the things that we can decouple. Like you probably should create an app that does that whole like bidding, real-time bidding process, and then put it into that, incorporated it, integrate it, instead of trying to use the commenting feature, which is not going to work.
Yeah, which within WordPress is just creating posts.
Yeah, like, you're just creating entries in a database.
That then mess up, like it locks, it messes up other queries, it makes other things even super long.
Yeah. And then in the meantime, like I remember that. Sorry, I remember
millions eventually.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was thinking like you were eventually talking about hundreds of millions of records as posts.
Right.
Like that doesn't work.
Yeah, and then like you have that, it's kind of causing the performance issue on the editorial side, and then like the editors are complaining that why is the site so slow? It's like, well, that's because you have all this thing coming in, and like they're hitting the database, and then you can't really update your own content because of that.
I mean, I covered the 3 E's on this topic, I think. Next episode, I will go back to doing a regular alcoholic beer because this one's not tasty. I've had it multiple. Like this isn't my first one of it. It just.
But you said that before that you had it by the campfire, so like you have the vibe of you're already happy. So like I don't think the taste will really change anything. You're just already in a good.
Maybe that's the thing. I can always drink non-alcoholics when I'm camping.
Right.
Although, I will say I do wake up very different after drinking a couple of non-alcoholics versus drinking a couple of beers. It's definitely a little nicer when you're camping or going for hikes and stuff. A little less bloated, less dehydrated too. That's kind of a thing in Colorado. Well, the other part is elevation. So like Kelly's at 2 miles, I'm at 1 mile. Like going down to sea level, drinking, not a problem. Like,
yeah, I remember when you first came back from Colorado, you were like, I was like, this is just too easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's the opposite coming here. Like you get a drink in you and you're coming to Denver and have a drink or two, you're a little tipsy.
I remember like all these MMA fighters, like when they have a fights in Denver area, Colorado area, they have to go earlier than they usually go to get adjusted to the height, the elevation.
For them, it's the oxygen.
Yeah, because like you're fighting for whatever, it's like not 25 minutes. Like if you're not title fight, like at least 15 minutes. And then like you need to be in your best shape. But then like if your oxygen level isn't cooperating, then you get gassed out quickly. Anyways.
All right.
So, I mean, this was good. A good conversation.
Yeah, next episode, I'll talk a little bit more about what I ended up on the presentation, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Stay tuned for the next episode on Monday afternoon.